Thank you all for joining us. Kevin Mill in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. As we first discussed yesterday, a big ICE raid in Mississippi, and a lot of people were arrested, but were they deported? With the answers to that story and much, much more concerning our, well, the answer to the issues going on with illegal immigration coming into the country. William Geen joining us once again from ALIPAC. Mr. Geen, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Kevin, glad to be back.
So a big ICE raid happens in Mississippi, and yet will these people be sent home?
Well, it's debatable. I mean, Trump promised us mass deportations in the 2016 campaign, and then he broke that promise. He didn't fulfill it, or however you want to word it, failed to do it. Was not stopped by courts, was not stopped by Democrats in Congress. I have to say that as a disclaimer because your diehard ever Trumpers are constantly saying, the Democrats in the courts stopped him from doing everything. And it wasn't, that's not what stopped him. He stopped himself on that. Then I think it was about 2 months ago, he said that if the Democrats wouldn't come to the table and cut some deal on amnesty for illegals legislatively, which none of us, really elected him to do, and many of us were very surprised to see him doing once elected, he said he was going to start deporting millions. And then I think it was on a Friday, he said that Nancy Pelosi had called him and he was going to give him a 2-week reprieve to give everybody time to come together. Meanwhile, ALIPACers, we're calling Congress and the White House demanding they back off of legislative amnesty for illegal immigrants, which we believe would kill the country forever. And we won again. But then the 2 weeks passed. And where were the big raids? Where were the big deportations? They didn't happen. In fact, I think it was like in 1 week they may have deported or picked up 35 people or something minuscule. So we pointed that out. The conditional Trump supporters, the people that voted for Trump that are making their support conditional, are the ones that are moving the ball at all right now. The ever-Trumpers that are going to support Trump no matter what he says or does, they've been neutralized. The campaign and Trump, and he has no reason to keep his promises, those folks. But the people who are weighing the president based off of his performance, not what he says, because that seems to be where the rub is. There's a big difference. Trump comes out and shouts things and says things and press releases things all the time. They make Americans want to jump up and say, yeah, deport those illegals, build a wall, no amnesty. And then when you look at what he actually does, it's either he doesn't do it or he does 180 degrees different than what he promised as he was going to do. So this new raid, being over 600, is better than the first week of only 18.
What we're hearing, though, about the raid is that because of some type of legal thing, 300 of those folks will not be deported. Then you have people worrying about their families. So because of a technicality, they were arrested, but they weren't put back on the bus or the train to wherever they've come from. They've been released, and they're going to have a court hearing, which underlines the problem, Mr. Geen, as you've been talking about, whether it's here on KIDO Talk Radio or the thousands of interviews that you do across the country through ALIPAC, that we can't even when we arrest the people that are here illegally, we can't get them to go home. We just trust them to show up, and many of them don't.
Well, the president doesn't have to let them in the country in the first place through catch and release policies. People need to understand these aren't laws. These are policies at the border right now. Right now, the asylum policy and the catch and release policy are presidential directives that Trump is keeping from prior globalist presidents like Bush and Obama. And unfortunately, because Trump's broken immigration promises and his catch and release presidential policies, which he promised us all in 2016 he would end, illegal immigration is now worse than ever before. It's expected more than 1.1 million will come here this year, probably enough to throw the balance of the next presidential election and future presidential elections to the Democrats infinitum. And it's a real horror show. There was a Supreme Court ruling about allowing illegals to have court proceedings, and unfortunately the balance went to the Democrats by one of the Trump-appointed Supreme Court. I don't remember if it was Gorsuch or the other guy, but it was one of the Trump-appointed Supreme Court nominees that sided with the illegal aliens and the Democrats on the Supreme Court. So it's a real mess. This is not where we expected to be 3 years into the Trump presidency, especially not what we expected Monday morning last week at 6:45 a.m. or 5:45 a.m., whenever it was. In response to the mass shootings, Donald Trump came out and tweeted that this was a good opportunity to pass new gun laws, which he specifically campaigned against, and immigration reform, much-needed immigration reform. Now, your diehard Trumpers, every Trumpers will say, oh, well, that's just reform. Trump wants to improve things. Folks, immigration reform equals amnesty for illegal immigrants. It has always equaled amnesty for illegal immigrants. We've been fighting to stop amnesty legislation in Washington, D.C. called immigration reform since 2004, and all 10 of the immigration reform bills that we fought and stopped contained amnesty for millions of illegal immigrants. President Donald J. Trump just used the mass shooting tragedies to try to push amnesty for illegal immigration as well as restriction on gun rights. So Donald Trump, I'm starting to call him Democrat Donald, Kevin.
Wow.
Because he was a Democrat for 8 of the 16 years before he ran for president. And his positions currently, his actual positions, not his campaign positions, not what he says at the rallies or to his voter audience, but his actual policies and legislation tendencies on immigration favor the Democrats, accommodate and support Democrat positions on guns, favor the Democrat position on social issues, on race issues, on debt issues, on spending issues, on all of these issues that he's favoring the Democrat positions.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Geen, as we know, you and I are friends for years, and you are very focused on the president. Let me get you to these ICE raids just for a sake of a little diversity here. Here is Mark Morgan, acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, admitting that 300 people have been released of the almost 700 people accused of being in the country illegally.
They're going after these corporations that are intentionally and willfully hiring illegal aliens so they can pay them reduced wages to increase their bottom line. Our daily apprehension numbers are still in excess of 2,500. That's still a full-blown crisis. And although Mexico is stepping up, government of Guatemala is stepping up, these are still not durable, long-term, sustainable solutions.
Your thoughts on Mexico and Guatemala stepping up?
Well, let's stop at the word 2,500 apprehensions per day. That word should be changed from apprehension to assisted illegal aliens. The Border Patrol is helping illegal aliens around the walls, up the hills, onto the vans. The illegal aliens are seeking out Border Patrol agents who are conducting the smuggling operation now. They're bringing the illegals in. Illegals want to find the Border Patrol. So apprehension really isn't the right word. But our Border Patrol is currently assisting about 2,500 illegal aliens per day to enter the United States through President Trump's catch and release programs. Mark Morgan is an Obama-era Democrat who supports amnesty for illegal immigrants, which I think it was the ICE union called, what they call him? They call him something nasty. They said he didn't really represent them whatsoever because of his support for immigration reform, amnesty. So there's an Obama administrator, amnesty backer talking to you.
Right.
So you got to think about the source. He's using the word apprehensions to make you think that they're stopping illegals or arresting them or doing something illegals wouldn't like, and that's not the case. And then he starts talking about Guatemala stepping up to the plate, Mexico stepping up to the plate. Well, wow. Slap me on the forehead, I could have had a V8. Did it occur to anybody that it's not the job of Mexico and it's not the job of Guatemala to stop illegal immigrants from entering the United States? That job falls on the shoulders of the President of the United States, which happens to be Donald J. Trump, and his administrators like Mark Morgan. They are constantly obfuscating. They're constantly redirecting attention. They're constantly pointing at some other problem to focus attention away from the fact that illegal immigration is worse now than it has ever been in the United States modern history.
All right, let's go to Steve in Meridian for William Geen on KIDO Talk Radio. Steve, your thoughts on what Mr. Geen is saying?
Well, sir, thank you for the call, Kevin. I disagree with his slant against the president. I just want to support the president in saying the immigration troubles have been long-standing and nothing has been done by many previous presidents. And you can't just push a magic button, nor can a person like this gentleman contribute like an armchair quarterback and say, President should have, would have, could have done this. If I was in his shoes, I would have simply done this. It's not that easy. President Trump is walking with wisdom on many great issues, and I wish the gentleman would have said, in qualifying his negativity towards the president on immigration actions, the president is doing a great job. However, he can do better. But in fact, the man has only said negatives about President Trump, and when a person is 100% negative against somebody, you can't drink all their Kool-Aid. You can't believe everything
let's
they're
have
saying.
a discussion here, Steve. Hang on the line.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Geen, your thoughts.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are really, they know they're trapped between the terrible Democrats and they're invested in Trump, and they don't want to come to terms with Trump's failures or broken promises or the reality of this invasion and how bad the cancer, so to speak, is. But, I am very thankful, so very thankful that I am amongst the Americans that see through what's happened with Donald Trump and see the betrayals and see the lies. I'm so thankful that I'm not sitting there trying to make excuses for this man over and over and over again and trying to worship him or idolize him and talk about how wise he is and gifted by God he is and all this other stuff that's going on, all these people that, want to, and I understand the tendency to want to support Trump.
I mean, that's a pretty harsh assessment. Steve, your reaction?
Well, sir, let's remember the fact of life that there is no perfect person on the planet, no perfect president. And you're suggesting as if the President Trump is not a good president. Did you really prefer Hillary Rodham Clinton? I mean, give me a break here.
No, and actually I endorsed. Hold on, wait,
hold on, sir. I'm making my point. Let me say this.
No, your point. You just lied about me. You just lied about me.
We're talking about immigration.
Let me clarify.
You talked about my president. You talked about my president.
All right,
sure.
Steve, let's make your point, and Mr. Geen will respond here on KIDO Talk Radio.
With that said, knowing Clinton was the worst choice, sir, and Trump was the far greater choice, you have to look at the collective impact of the president on the nation. It has been favorable without exception. And for you, sir, not to acknowledge that, even in the caveat and the simple topic in the lane we're talking about regarding immigration, is sad. And you are not one of the quote-unquote few enlightened ones who have recognized something about Trump that is not good. You, sir, have drank all the poisoned Kool-Aid, and I think you need to get a more collective, common sense perspective on the whole issue, not just on immigration.
May I respond now, or is he going to just get ramble on?
First Steve, of all, duly noted. Thank you for the call on KIDO Talk Radio. Mr. Geen, your response.
Everything you just said is wrong. I endorsed Donald Trump. I volunteered for Donald Trump. I contributed to Donald Trump's campaign. I lost supporters when I backed Donald Trump. I've endorsed Trump because he adopted my organization's 15-year platform on immigration. And I'm told it was conditional. It was based on those issues. And when he broke faith with those issues and he started breaking campaign promises again and again and again and saying things that weren't true, then we dropped our endorsement, because I'm not going to sit there and worship him like this guy, and I'm not going to get on a radio station and start bad-mouthing somebody as a Hillary Clinton supporter when that's just not true. But he can call up and blather out and say those things because he wants to attack the messenger. Now, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Listen, I am 100% certain that my view of this president and the reality of the situation with his administration is much clearer than that caller. And yes, there's no magical button, but Trump is not doing what he's supposed to do as president to protect this country, and he's not keeping his campaign promises. And the end result, talk about things being much better, more illegals entering the United States than ever before is not better. More Americans being victimized, raped, robbed, drug addicted, or killed by illegal immigrants than ever before in American history under the watch and responsibility of Donald J. Trump is not better than ever before. I stand with the Americans that voted for Trump based on the issues of what he told us he was going to do and what he was going to be. And now we're finding that once he's in office, he's not the man he campaigned to be. And that's just a hard, cold truth. And a lot of people don't want to deal with it, and they want to squirm and say bad things about me. But I've always told the truth to the best of my ability, and that's the way that we've been able to stop amnesty legislation for the last 15 years, which would have made people like your caller already completely irrelevant in American politics, submerged by millions upon millions of new Democratic voters added through a process of amnesty.
And we could see that, Mr. Geen. We always appreciate you, appreciate your forward thinking, your ability to speak your mind here. Your website, if people want more information and maybe have a continued dialogue with you, sir, or to donate to Save America, what can they do?
We're at alipac.us, alipac.us. Thanks so much for having me on, Kevin. I know you'll probably get some emails saying that you shouldn't have me on because certain Trump supporters don't want to hear what I have to say, but I appreciate you having me.
We appreciate you, sir. Take care.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Mr. Geen joining us. Let's get your reaction. Doug in Mountain Home, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin. Boy, there's a whole There was a whole mouthful from both sides, huh? I don't know what to think about him at times. I really don't. I know it ain't like one man can press a button and make it all happen. That's why they have Congress. That's why they have checks and balances. I think he tries harder than anybody I've seen, but it does make me wonder why, what he was saying, why under his watch we have had more illegal immigrants in this country in 3 years than any other time. It makes a guy scratch his head and wonder. But like I said, there's checks and balances. The states have rights against the feds, and you see it going on in California, New Mexico, all the border states where they fight him. You got people like George Soros that's under the limelight pumping all this money into all these creeps, helping them in. I don't know where it's at, but I just got done calling my congressmen and my senators this morning, just less than a half an hour ago, Kevin. And if he starts monkeying around with these gun grabbers, I'm talking about Donald J. Trump, and I really like him. I think he's the best we've had. He's going to be a one-term president. He will, just like your Gun Owners of America guy, like he said, all he's got to lose is about 3 districts. And some of them states back east, Pennsylvania, Michigan, he's done. And that's what I told these guys. These senators, you get to talk to their secretaries or whoever, but I always get a response letter back from them. But like I told them, Kevin, I said, all you got to do is turn on conservative talk radio and listen to what the people that voted for Donald Trump, and you start messing with red flag laws. Heck, the red flag law should be up against, I don't know how to say this, Kevin. These red flag laws should be for the American people when a red flag comes up on our legislators. You know what I'm trying to say? Not gun owners.
How about the red flag laws on the criminals? Doug, well said. We love your passion. Thank you, sir.
Yep, Mike.
Coming up next, Joe Biden commits another blunder, but your thoughts on red flag laws, gun control, and saving America. All that before Glenn Beck with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. By the way, have you heard what Joe Biden has said? Everybody's focusing in on Donald Trump, and if you want to react to what Bill Geen said, William Geen from AliPac, you can Google him. You can Google that organization. You can call in right now at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Tell me, is this presidential?
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
Pro-Life joins us now, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro.
Good morning. I listened to William Geen, but even before I knew about him, I knew that President Trump was wrong on the border. All he has to do is put military, whatever, people from the Gulf clear over to the Pacific Ocean, enough people along that border that nobody can get through there, and then it's all over. And he's not done that. He could do that. He could do that by executive order. Now, the liberals, and there'd be a lot of people really throw a fit about it. They want to impeach him, but they can't impeach him. They couldn't get him impeached over that. So he's wrong in that way, and obviously he can think of that solution. And, in fact, lots of people can think about that solution, even William Geen can, but nobody brings it up. And that's pretty
Well, wait
crazy.
a minute. The president sent troops to the border.
Yeah, but I mean enough troops that you can't get through there at
Well, what do you
any
mean
spot.
enough? What do you mean enough troops?
Well, I mean, if you have people on 24-hour shifts, say 100 yards, 300
Well, do we
yards,
even have
whatever
enough in
far-
the military to do that anymore? I mean, we've cut the military under Obama pretty tough.
Well, then you hire people. I mean, you take the National Guard. You take whatever it takes. You deputize people, and you just shut it down, and it's over. And then pretty soon people say no. Then you don't. Then you could widen the space between the people, as time goes on because, the people trying to get in would get totally discouraged. I mean, they'd get caught every time, and they'd just get thrown back across the border. You wouldn't let anybody through. If they yelled asylum, you'd say, no, you can't do that unless you can. If you're from Guatemala, you didn't go to Mexico, Honduras, wherever for your asylum, so you're not coming in here. It just because 99.9% of those people claiming asylum are lying about it. And that's it's easy to do, and Trump, he can think of that. Lots of people think about it. If I can come up with that idea, the administration can. And why don't we do that? Because there's something phony about the whole thing. So I've not liked what Trump did about the border at all. And I said that on this radio station and others many, many times, and I'll continue to say it. So people need to respect William Geen. He's being honest. But he didn't propose what I just said, and that is the solution.
Pro-life.
Yeah.
We always appreciate you, brother.
All right, well, I'm always right. Catch you later.
Take care. Traffic and weather together. Our time is 8:30. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. And we go out to John Decker, Fox News Radio in the White House. Now, John, I'm a little envious of our friend Jared Halpern at the Iowa State Fair. It's, again, like reliving Richard Ben Kramer's What It Takes all over again. It happens every 4 years in Iowa and New Hampshire. I mean, pork chops, fried Snickers bars, and presidential candidates.
Well, I'm pretty happy right here at the White House. The president just departed from the White House moments ago, spent 35 minutes taking questions, took 3 questions from me. There's no place in the world I'd rather be than right here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Kevin. So all good by me. I'll leave Iowa to Jared.
I hear I was going nostalgic, and you're already newsworthy as always. So, John Decker, you asked the president some questions. Can you relay what he said, his answers, and obviously, whenever the president speaks, always newsworthy. Thanks for bringing us back to focus.
Yeah, sure. Well, the president, the tape playback of what he said just moments ago now occurring on all the cable networks. But I got the very first question. The president chose me for the first question. And I asked the president, given the fact that he's been strong allies and a supporter of the NRA over the years and the feelings mutual, can he take a position at odds with the NRA on the issue of background checks? And the president said he could, but he doesn't think it'll go there. And the president said, look, he and his administration are working with leaders of both parties trying to work out some sort of legislation that could be palatable to the administration and Republicans on the issue of background checks. And that, of course, won't happen until they get back from their August recess. So I also asked the president about what his message is to school children and teenagers who are getting ready to go back to school, maybe feeling a little anxious right now, a little nervous after these mass shootings, and the president had a message for them. And then, on the lighter side, but something that will get a lot of play certainly on ESPN, I asked the president about whether or not Colin Kaepernick deserves a chance to play in the NFL. And the president said, if he's good enough. He said, sure, I'm all for him playing in the NFL. If he's good enough to make a team, then he should be on an NFL team. So that, of course, is going to get a little play. My Philadelphia Eagles now need a backup, so maybe they'll look to Colin Kaepernick, and now they have the tacit approval of the president as well if they want to go out and pursue him.
John Decker hitting it out of the park. Of course, the president getting a lot of blowback from the NRA. Other people concerned about possible red flag laws. Fox News reporting Mitch McConnell through an interview with WHAS in Louisville saying that red flag laws, background checks, assault weapons bans, there's going to be a lot of discussion once Congress gets back in session.
Well, that's right. So the president believes that there's goodwill right now on both sides, that he spoke with both Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi yesterday in addition to Leader McConnell, believes that all of them can work together to find some sort of common ground. Obviously the devil's in the details, and the president saying he thinks that the NRA will ultimately be approving what comes out of Congress, but he said they may not be everything that they like, acknowledges that. And the president says, look, there are sick people that pull the trigger, and that needs to be the focus of any type of legislation.
So the president getting ready to take some time off, did he relate to what he'll be doing, except, I guess, playing golf?
Well, he'll be playing some golf. He's doing a fundraiser immediately. He's flying from Washington all the way out to Long Island, doing a very high-dollar fundraiser there, then spending time over the course of the next week at his home in New Jersey. And in addition to that, the president will be taking time off during his vacation to do one of those campaign rallies. That will be in New Hampshire, the all-important state of New Hampshire, for electoral votes. The president lost it in 2016. He wants to put it in his column for 2020, Kevin.
John Decker, I know you're busy. You've got to cut everything up. We appreciate you making time, and we always appreciate the insight and reports. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. John Decker, you could hear the urgency in his voice. Let's go to the phones. Sandy joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Kevin. I have a question for you. From what I found out on the El Paso shooting, were there 46 people hurt, 20 killed, and 26 injured?
That sounds about right.
Okay. How many were Americans?
What was it, 7 or maybe as high as 10 were Mexican nationals?
Okay, there you go. Now you see where we're putting the focus. Okay, enough on that. The other thing is gun control. I don't think our president is going to go ahead and all the gun owners out there, they need to relax a little bit. What I've been seeing on the news is we've got local sheriffs, police departments all across the country. We're all concerned as citizens and as law enforcement to get this taken care of. The mother of the man that shot these people, she called her local law enforcement and told them he isn't stable enough, and there was nothing they could do. So people are concerned. You have to remember, folks, that it's not political. If this was your husband, your daughter, your kid, it's now personal. And what they're doing is the news media, what we're seeing is they're taking advantage of the working person that's out there, and they only have a minute time. If you pay attention to the morning news, you'll see that when you get up and you're about ready to have your morning toothbrush and things like that, you walk away from the TV. Well, that's when the news is on, and they're giving you bits and pieces, folks. You're not getting the whole story. You'll get a little bit of the negative, a whole lot of the negative here, and when you're in there brushing your teeth is when you're getting the positive. And the people that are not working, like myself, who's retired, I get to see the whole story. But they're playing on you. You're being played for fools, and we are not fools, folks. You've got, like I said, it's not political. It's not. I mean, I'm concerned about it as a person. I'm not even a gun owner. But if I had one, I'd be concerned. I'm concerned, and I don't even have one. But I know a lot of people that are. But you've got to understand, we've already done the background checks. They know they don't work. I've seen several things on the news. It's late news. But all across the country, we've got police officers, sheriffs, highway patrol people talking, saying, hey, maybe we need to do something and change local laws to say, hey, if somebody's coming in or a mother calls in and says, hey, my son just bought an automatic weapon, I don't think he's stable. Take her serious. So it's at your local level, folks. So it's not political. Truly, it's not. And the NRA people, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the background checks. You've got enough people local that have that. Anyway, I'm done, Kevin. Thanks. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Sandy. We appreciate you. Let's go to Trudy now with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Trudy.
Hi, Kevin. Hi. I have a question for you. I agree with what Pro-Life said. And towards the end, he asked, what is phony about all this? I have an idea, and I would sure like for you to talk about this in the future. And that is, what does the lack of enforcement on our border, south or north, have to do with USMCA? And I'm really nervous.
Why are you nervous, Trudy? It's just you and me here. No worries.
I know. But if USMCA is going to make Canada, America, and South Mexico all one, why are they talking about a border? Why aren't they really telling the truth? Well, this is really what we're working towards.
Well, we've been
USMCA. Why can't we know about this? Why aren't we talking about this?
Well, that has been talked about and covered for years in the conservative media. Initially, when NAFTA came out, you had this big highway. Maybe it's complete now, that was going to go from someplace in Mexico to, all the way to Minnesota. You were going to have, and look, it's kind of been swept under the rug. The Mexican truck drivers coming in, their vehicles aren't.
It has been, but Kevin, this is really serious stuff.
No, I agree.
It ignores
I've been there.
It ignores the Constitution, American liberties. It calls over the American independence and leads to international control. How come we're not talking about this too? I don't care that they've done it in the past. They're getting ready to look at it again. And if people don't know about it and start saying something, they'll just lay down, okay, let's do this. This is serious.
No, you're right, Trudy. You're right. That's why
And
we have.
You are the man, okay? You are the man to bring this back to the forefront. And I would really like to see you do that. And I really appreciate your show and the people that call in. And at this moment, that's all I have to say. And thank you.
Well, I'm trying to get out of your way. Okay, Trudy.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. By the way, Ray and I picked this up the other day, and if you've ever wondered what a socialist convention sounds like, let's take a listen.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
More in a minute. For entertainment purposes only, but that's what these people are thinking. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Ray and I. Appreciate you as always. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. If you're just tuning in, remember, through the KIDO Talk Radio website or the app, you can always get the programs that you missed. Maybe it's an interview, maybe it's a caller, maybe it's the comments we made earlier about the Albertsons Corporation. And again, this is what makes the Treasure Valley and the state of Idaho so great. You have a situation that really, as we talked about, we didn't bash Albertsons. We didn't say, well, that doesn't get you anywhere, right? But yesterday we had a logical conversation. Sometimes you have good people that make mistakes. And the Albertsons folks that have been in the Treasure Valley for over 80 years acknowledge it. And that's not an easy thing to do, considering the negative amount of publicity that had been launched at them for this lawsuit against the baker. Now, the baker and the growler shop. Essentially, you had a baker who was being sued by Albertsons because he wasn't allowed to bake in the parking lot. The baker said, look at my lease. This is my get-out-of-jail-free card. I can't really afford a lawsuit. This is going to ruin me. You had the media, but more importantly, you showed up at Granny C's Bakery and bought the place out. Not once, but 2 or 3 times. You don't find that in other parts of the country, that commitment. Total strangers helping out their neighbor, their neighborhood baker, right? And now Albertsons will sue the landlord. Okay. But I mean, really, is it going to hurt Albertsons to have a bakery there? Probably not. America was founded on small business. Over 80 years ago, Joe Albertson, he started as a small business, right? But so much good has been done by the local employees. You know, we all have our favorite stores. Mine is the 10 Mile Albertson stores. I go in there and they go, where are you from? I go, well, I'm visiting. I'm from Star. Those people do a terrific job. And I know Wendy's probably going to give me a hard time on this if she and Kent are still listening. However, it's about community, and that those folks talk the talk and walk the walk. So, again, they withdrew the lawsuit. All is well, and that's the magic of living here in Idaho. And if you're listening on the KIDO Talk Radio app, if you're listening online, we have people from Nevada, we have people from California, Montana, New Hampshire, Ohio, a lot of places I used to work. People still tune in. This is the beauty of living here, and this is why so many people are coming to what America used to be and hopefully can be again. Traffic and weather together with Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Max in Garden City. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. My gripe, of course, is the food tax. I just finished shopping for a couple of indigent families and bringing their groceries home. And when I'm paying that food tax with their money, that really upsets me. Our legislators are rich. Our governor is wealthy. They don't care. It doesn't affect them. But these poor people, they're suffering. Someone is stealing 6 cents of every dollar, yanking it out of their hand and saying, you will pay it. That's the law. Is this a land of equal justice?
Well, no justice, no peace. I'll tell you, Oregon, they don't have a sales tax on anything. Florida, Tennessee, New Hampshire, they don't have a state income tax. And I got to tell you, people are flocking to those states. What is your personal message to the representatives, to the senators, to the executive right now about repealing the grocery tax?
It is, listen up, people. I'm talking about legislators and Governor Little. You're living happy in your own bubble. You are well-to-do financially, so this doesn't affect you. And hey, if it doesn't affect you, why should you worry about the little people? Because if you don't, the little people may recall you from office. Actually, they don't have the guts to do it. So come on, guys. Think of somebody other than yourselves. Take the mirror away from your face and look around. They're scum.
Thank you, Max.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
And this is why we have to save America. This is why we have to continue to listen, to continue to urge people to join our daily common sense conservative conversation and convert them back to the right side. Thank you all. God bless. Glenn Beck is next. Ray Amaya, outstanding job. Appreciate you, brother. Fox News is next. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.